Hey, I'm Duke on Twitch. If you want to support the channel and greensunzenith.com, you can find my Patreon, merch store, and singles store where you can buy singles through TCG Player or Card Hoarder in the video description. If you want to get in contact, you can also find all that info in the description below for things like donation deck lists or just wanting to reach out. Alright, let's get right into it.
Hey team, welcome back. Welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with Abzan Mav. It's been a hot minute. I haven't streamed for a long time. It's probably been a few weeks, but just had some, just like flu and cough symptoms and stuff like that. It's kept me away, and also just a busy time in real life. So pretty cool to get into Legacy Mav. I haven't played Legacy since the banning. I played a few games just on MTGO, but nothing too serious. And I'm really looking forward to coming back to Mav, seeing how it goes, and seeing how the Fiend Artisan build especially goes. This is a list very similar to Dan Neely's 5-0 list. I'll quickly find that as well, but Dan did really well with a very similar list, I believe yesterday on MTGO. Which, was really similar. The only difference here, the big difference, is he is not playing Mother of Runes. He's gone for an Esper Sentinel build, which I think is really strong. And then you can see with the Green Sun Zenith targets and Fiend Artisan targets, they're really heavy hitters. So yeah, obviously have Collector Oof, Ramanap, Plague Engineer, Powerless Jailer. Some of the difference are that obviously in the Esper Sentinel slot, I've got Mother of Runes, 22 lands against 23. But one of the comments from Dan was actually to go to 23, especially in a non-once upon a time build. But really cool. Also, the sideboard is, I think, really good for an open metagame. Mine, I've kind of gone hard on fast combo decks, Delver, and then just a few one-off cards, mainly for Fiend Artisan. Having something to bring in against some of the fair decks is really nice as well. Like, obviously you don't want things like Collector Oof and Knight of Autumns against Elves, but you might want Opposition Agent and Plague Engineer. So making sure we are there. Arnie, welcome. KV, welcome. Hope you guys are doing well. Nothing too different otherwise. I've gone hard on the Fiend Artisans here. But it's tough because I think in a Fiend Artisan build, my philosophy with Fiend is that it takes the spot of, say, 4th Thalia or 4th Mum, 4th Endurance or 4th Knight. It's not a case of finding slots for Fiend alongside the 4-ofs. It's allowing you to have access to a lot of virtual copies of these cards, and to make space for them, you obviously have to cut down. So there are a lot of 3-ofs in this deck, but I think that's okay. I guess one of the changes with Initiative being a little bit nerfed could be going back to Birds of Paradise, but I think that a Noble Hierarch here as my black source is pretty nice. Having Exalted is obviously great. And yeah, all in all, just having a creature that doesn't have to rely on Exalted from another creature to attack is really nice, so that'd be pretty cool. No Tyvar yet. I think Tyvar is very cool. I think if I did play Tyvar, I'd probably play it in like a Druid deck that actually has like a kind of I win button. But Tyvar is obviously on the radar to try out. A big thank you to Ben for the Undermountain Adventurer, which of course is our way to get the initiative in this deck. And obviously really strong with Green Suns having access to 5 versions of it. A little bit like how D&T has been playing Torch and having access to it through Stoneforge Mystic. We of course have access to it through Green Suns and Fiend Artisan. I was playing around with a green-white Maverick build with Torch, I believe, but I just can't seem to find it. Green-white Maverick, that's got sword, that's not it. I really want to show it now because it actually was pretty cool. Green White Mav, is this the one with Torch? No. Depths. Bant, no. Look, I was playing around 2003 Green White. No, that's not it. Actually, that's got white plumes in it, so that can just be deleted. But yes, I have been playing around with a version with Torch. I think it's actually on the Discord, so you can find it there. Very, very cool. Hey Neuro, hey Mangrok. But let's just get back into it. Let's get into a league and see how this performs. So we're playing Abzan Mav, using play points. Gotta remember how to do this all. There we go. Play league match. Very nice. But yeah, I think Torch is really good. If you want to look up some of the reasoning behind Torch, you should look at Evan's Twitter, which has a nice kind of 8-comment discussion, which I'll find. Akaleth. Here we go. And for those of you who don't know what Torch is pretty much a 4-mana equipment that allows you to take the initiative when it comes into play. The equip isn't really why you play it, it's pretty much because of the initiative, and in a deck where you can obviously get access to it pretty quickly. Alright. We are... Great hand to open up with. Thanks, Reform, but no thank you. This is obviously a mulligan as well. Even against something like Reanimator, I wouldn't keep this just because it has the double endurance hand, so pretty happy to mull this. Pretty happy to keep this. Now, what are we dropping? That's a big question. In my eyes, I like having the endurance in case it's some sort of combo deck. I really like Noble Hierarch. I don't mind Mum. And the Undermountain is really nice here. So for me, it could be a land, but that could be a little bit aggressive. I could also see Mum going as like turn 1 Noble, turn 2 Hold Up Endurance, turn 3 Undermountain. But the Mum and the Undermountain work really well in keeping the initiative here. But we have a lot of good draws as well. Like there's not really a creature here that I really care about protecting that I could see like Endurance and Undermountain with Vigilance just being 2 great ways of keeping the initiative. So I actually think we will keep this and bottom the Mum. Especially in the blind where there isn't really a card in my hand that I want to keep protected against. One thing I have to look around for is Stifle as well. I feel like Stifle always comes out post bans. We'll just go for Savannah here. Play Noble. And the next one we actually have Thalia as well, which against the polluted Delta deck is quite nice. I mean, turn 2 Wasteland Thalia is also pretty strong. Oh, Snow-Covered Swamp. Oh, Entomb? We have the Endurance. Oh my gosh. I could do it now to play around something like an instant speed effect, but I feel like we are doing pretty well here. We also get to next turn, play Thalia, and hold up Endurance. Okay, so Green Suns for 2 gets us Collect Oof, not really relevant. Scrib Ranger, not really relevant. I think here the best play is literally just playing Thalia and Caracas. The question is, do I want to hold the Caracas open? Do I want to play Wasteland? I definitely want to play around Daze, because I have seen some builds playing Daze in the blue-black versions. I think it's just going to be hold up Caracas. I don't think getting in for 1 is going to be the make or break in this sort of matchup. And then next time we actually have... Oh, okay. Force of Will pitching Hapless Researcher, which, for those of you who don't know what Hapless Researcher is, I believe it is pretty much Careful Study, but instead of the 2 effect, it's just draw a card, then discard a card. But next time we get to take the initiative, and also we have the Green Suns for this Endurance now as well, so in a pretty nice position. Oh, they have the Grief. That's a little bit annoying. So we let it resolve. And then, honestly, I think we actually pitch the Undermountain here because I don't want them discarding this and then getting it back and taking the initiative. That would be pretty bad for us. They have one card left as well. So it surely is a reanimate effect, especially if they're going for the grief this turn. Hey Elo, huge thank you. Huge thank you. Very, very cool to be back. They're not going to bring back the grief here, or like our endurance, so pretty happy to see that. Windswept Heath, okay. I think I'm happy to take them off the Underground Sea. The other option is to play the Windswept and go for a Dried Arbor, but if I draw into a black creature or Grist, I do want to have access to black, so I'm actually just going to Wasteland here. Also keeps them off like land into Hardcast Grief. But obviously on a 6, it worked out really well. The quality of our hand was much more important than the quantity. Okay. Hey, Northern Angel. Good to see you. Always a pleasure. Brainstorm, no shuffle. They are Brainstorm locked, which is nice. Hey, Duke of Wall. Timmy C, welcome. I am testing, I guess, technically for tomorrow night, but I actually have a build with, what is it, Game Master? Or the Game Player? The Attraction 4-drop? Badass Gamer? I don't know what it's called, but I do want to try it out. Hey Doctor, welcome. Hey, Too Kind. I definitely have Italy on line for next year. Or at least on the cards, which is quite... Most dangerous gamer, thank you. Yeah, Italy next year would be very cool. Archon's a great target here, obviously getting around the Caracas. Also makes me less likely to pick up Dried Arbor here. This and this. So even if we drew into Grist, we couldn't cast it and like sack the Windswept Heath to go and grab it as well. Like if we go and get Dried Arbor and draw into Grist, we can't of course cast it. Now it's looking pretty tough. Hey Marcon, Too Kind. Too Kind. Hope you're well. Two-tone swing here. Which is pretty tough. I think we do end step Dried Arbor because it just turns on Grist. Which means Green Suns is a live draw as well, which is pretty nice. Okay. What's this going to be? Hardcast Grief. Okay. It's not too bad. Yeah, Atraxa would have been pretty strong. Like even if I do have the Caracas, they probably draw into another threat or a way to get another threat into play. Alright, deck. You know what time it is. That is not the time. We have some pretty good sideboard cards. So we have the Ley Lines, we have the Surgicals. On the play, I don't mind the Deafening Silences. It's 8 cards. What don't I like? So the Plague Engineer can come out, the Ramanap, a lot of the grindy cards. Questing Beast, probably the Initiative. There are some instances where them getting back a card of ours is just a little bit too good. Especially with Ley Lines as well. I think if like Initiative gets into play, we're probably already winning to some extent. Mums aren't that great in this matchup either. I could see like one, but I think this is fine. Op Agent's kind of nice against things like Entomb. But I feel like so is Leyline. Obviously there's fetch lands, but the deck can run on such little resource. Endurance is great, Grist is great, Night of Autumn's great, especially for like Animate Dead. No, the Reliquary, Fiend, Scrib Ranger is probably where it's at. Like, it's a flyer, but I don't think that's good enough, especially when Archon gets rid of it most of the time. Grizzlebrain is still like gaining 7, drawing 7. Could just be this. Collector Oof turning off Petals is more than enough for me. Force is always interesting, but probably not where I want to be. I don't mind Night of Autumn because it is Green Sun's out to animate dead. I think I'm happy with this 60. And then obviously having a piece with not just 1, but 2 pieces of interaction is what I want to be. This has 1 piece, which for me just isn't enough. Especially with the consistency Reanimator now has of hand disruption into go off. I don't think having just surgicals there. Obviously, this also means that if we keep this, Leyline is just a dead draw until turn 3 at best. So pretty happy to get there. Hey Chuck, thank you very much. I think Grist is fine. Grist allows you to obviously deal with a threat, which is kind of nice. And gives you some hedge against Archon, sacrificing creatures. Pretty happy to mulligan towards Leyline. Okay. Very similar to the opening hand, but just no surgical, so happy to go to 5. Really looking for card quantity over card quality over quantity. So it's gonna be 4. Well, it might just have no. Oof. We did bring them in. Yeah, okay. Look, we have Deafening Silence. So if we keep 3, we bottom 1, 2. I think we bottom just those. Keep the 2 lands. Probably get a Savannah here and then play the Deafening Silence. But pretty unfortunate. I always think about the 4th Leyline, but it's obviously like, you're only 15 cards. Oh, okay. Well, that's a pretty good draw. That does give me that second piece of interaction. And again, like, a mulligan to 4 is a mulligan to 4, but the card quality of the 4 cards, I think, is a lot better than the quality of the cards with the high quantity in the 5 and 6 and 7 hand. Like a Thalia here would be pretty sweet. Knight's pretty good. Like, we still have obviously 1 draw step, but say putting a Knight off a show and tell would be cool. I really hope it's not Archon. I guess I should have surgicaled in response, but that's all good. Not too much we can do there. Tough. Pretty funny, as like even in the boarding, I felt like the board for this version is pretty well adapted for Reanimator, but sometimes you just don't hit it. Tough. Hey, Exelon. It's a little bit outdated, but I would say that a lot of the like theory of sideboarding against different decks is relevant, and you can find it on the greensunzenith.com. There is a Naya Depth sideboard guide. But that whole section is going to be getting an update pretty soon. A little bit like... A little bit like the updates to the Punishing Mav or Naya Maverick and Abzan Maverick guides. But yeah, tough. Alright, on the play, which is nice. I've been off sick, unfortunately. I'm not going to mulligan this. Turn 1 mum into turn 2 mum, or, you know, this is kind of a 6 with the Dryad Arbor, and I would keep this 6, so pretty happy to keep this. The question is, do I want to play the Plains? I think I'm happy to keep the fetch land just for now. Just until we get a little bit more information. Obviously, this start also could potentially make our opponent think we're Death and Taxes, which doesn't change a whole lot in how you're going to approach a creature matchup, but small things like that and making your opponent think can always be interesting. Ooh, Volk. Okay. Oh, I thought it was Gutshot. I thought it was Gutshot for a second. To be fair, an online mum here is very good. And getting a second online mum is great as well. So I think once we move towards potentially... Scrib Ranger, I was going to say, that's nearly a lock for our opponent. They put a Bolt in the bin, which either makes me think they have removal already in hand, or they see that they can't deal with Mum, and therefore... Well, now I'm pretty happy to get aggressive with taking out their mana. I could play the Mum first and then just pay for days if they have it, but I think in this position I'm pretty happy just to see how the Mums go. And again, like a very Death and Taxes start as well. Like Wasteland Plains double Mum. I would also be very impressed if they had the Gut Shot. I think in this position as well, I'm pretty happy to see if they attack. They don't attack. Okay. Who blocks there if they attack? I think if they attack, you just can't block, because like having 2 untapped mums now just means they can't attack anyway. So pretty happy with that. So we have some options here. I could play the Dried Arbor. Could play the Noble Hierarch off the fetch land. They have like a Stifle that's kind of annoying, but it's not the worst. I think in this spot I'm happy just to see if we can get this Savannah out. Nice. I could go for a Black Source and get Bayou. I don't mind that. Especially if we're drawn to like Plague Engineer. It's obviously very nice. Or like naturally drawn to Grist. Having the Plains means we have a white source for the rest of the game, so I don't mind like showing them we have the black source. Yeah, Misstep's a great call. Minor Misstep has definitely seen a lot more play post-ban, and from what I've heard, it's been pretty well responded to. The people who are playing it are really enjoying it. For those of you who are unaware, I believe Minor Misstep is 1 blue, or a blue instant. Counter target spell of CMC 1 or lower? Zero or 1. Let's get the... Counter target spell with mana value 1 or less. Okay, there we go. Which, like, it sounds restricted, but in Legacy it's not really restricted. There's a lot of cards of CMC 1 or lower. One thing I do have to think about here is Murktide. And although Scrib Ranger would be great against Murktide, especially with double mum, this green sense has to resolve, of course, for that to happen. Also, one thing with Minor Misstep is if you do have the luxury of paying more, you can play around it a little bit by like Prismatic Ending for 2, but using the same color, so that the convert mana cost of the spell is higher, but you're still using the same amount of colors. You could also do that for Green Suns. If you want a Green Suns for like a Noble Hierarch or a Dried Arbor. Dried Arbor, 1, 2. No, for a Dried Arbor, you could of course go longer. All right, so now we do have the Scrib, which is nice. They do have 5 cards, so I'm going to assume that they have a Force of Will here, but we'll see. Yeah, tough. That is very true. Is the Wasteland doing more for us? Probably not. I kind of like to think that Wasteland here is pretty good because it keeps them from potentially like cantripping into another threat. And I think at 3 mana plus 4 mana, we're going to be fine. Like our main out here is going to be either Swords of Plowshares or getting a Scrib Ranger on the field. Also, by Wastelanding, you could be putting them in a position where they have to use their cantrips for mana. I assume not, as they're just bottom to Steam Vents, but... They also have Artifact, Sorcery, Instant, Land in the bin, so this Dragon Race channel is going to get in. So they pretty much have a 2-turn clock. I think Endurance is also a very, very good draw here. I know it is. Let's be real. But yeah, it's tough. Like, obviously, Double Mum seems great, but in this position, not that great. We take 9, and then probably 9 again next turn. Go to 1. Yeah. We have 2 cards left. And that is pretty much... I actually think we don't have an out here. Because even if we take the damage here, and I'm assuming the Delver flips thanks to the Ponder. Tough. Delver. Obviously like the Carpets, the Prismatic Ending, and I don't mind the Plague on the play, but that's more of a maybe card. We don't need the Collector Oof, we don't need the Knight of Autumn, and I probably don't want the Adventurer in this matchup. I don't mind the Questing Beast if they are going to be on a True Name build in the 75, and with the Carpets it's obviously a little bit easier to hit. But just like slight tweaks, there's nothing else that I really want here. I definitely have Solitude and Snuff Out on the radar as just extra free effects. Obviously, Solitude quite nice as well with Fiend Artisan as just like a top of the curve threat to find. It's a great way to utilize cards like Thalia against Death and Taxes and actually make use out of it. That was actually my reasoning for playing the Knight of Autumn in this build. I did have Solitude in here, and obviously Knight of Autumn pitches to both creatures instead of just... instead of just Endurance, like Outland Liberator does. I think I'm pretty happy to keep this. This is pretty much a 6 with the Dried Arbor, and I would keep this 6. Like, hold up Swords into Thalia into Knight is just really strong. The question is, do I want to actually lead on the Dried Arbor? Or lead on a fetch? Taking out a creature and a Knight with a Bolt would be pretty brutal, so pretty happy to do this. I'm also pretty happy here just to get a basic out of the deck. I do want to play around Stifle to some extent, and I do have all my mana online anyway. The Bayou is the only black source I really need, and this Windswept Heath can go and get a basic forest. A Ponder start is probably the best start that we could ask for too. Like, being able to now play the sword around days, most likely, is really nice. If the Thalia comes down, it's obviously great as well. Endurance, a great pickup. But yeah, I usually try to get my mana online and just make sure it's a stable mana base early on. Hey, the Goosenator. Maverick is a creature-based deck that is typically built around cards like Knight of the Reliquary that allow you to find things like Wasteland, Karakas, if relevant, maybe Bojuka Bog, and then also a card called Green Sun Zenith, which is currently banned in Modern. Green Sun Zenith is pretty sweet because it allows you to scale, which means from as early as turn 1, you can Green Suns for a card like Dried Arbor, which is a 0 CMC creature. For mana acceleration, you could search for a noble at, X equals 1. You have some pretty cool tech like Collector Oof, which is kind of just like an I win button against a lot of decks as well in the format, especially those that are artifact based. And then obviously just good value creatures. So it's a little bit on the fairer side, but it's a pretty great creature to have around. The Shredder I don't really care about because of the endurance. I'm also pretty happy just to play around days for a little bit because we can. But getting Night online would be pretty great as well. You're welcome. You can also find a bit more content on the Green Sun Zenith. I'm actually going to slam Knight here. It's a 4/4, it's a 5/5, which is great against Bolt. Obviously, Unholy Heat isn't online yet. The Endurance does cover the Ledger Shredder to some extent, so being able to play that potentially next turn around days is great as well. A few things to do. But yeah, I think 4 swords, a Grist, and a Plague Engineer might just be a little bit on the low side for main deck removal in a metagame right now that is pretty creature heavy. This could just be a True Name or just a Merc. I wouldn't mind a Merc. Take the 1. Oof. Alright. Swords. Nice. Land. I could have played the Dried Arbor, to be fair. What do I want to do here? I could try to Canopy and draw into a 2-drop. I have the swords, which is obviously very nice. I could also just take this out and then take them off of Volk. I don't mind that. But I should have thought about Connive. They did put a Volk in the bin, which makes me think they have another land in hand, but I'm still happy to try to just take them off as much mana as possible. And that is 2 Volks down, which is definitely worth noting. But yeah, I think even a build with like 4, 5, 6. Like maybe 10 is a little bit too much in terms of removal, but I think Prismatic Ending is pretty well positioned. I could see like 2 Prismatic Ending, 4 swords, and then like 2 Snuff Out or 2 something else. Alright. I don't mind if I draw just another land here. Fiend Artisan's kind of cool. 1, 2, and then 3 for endurance. Could also go Dried Arbor, fetch up Cradle, and then have 4 mana for endurance. That's pretty cool. And then I can't attack though. I think the bans are pretty good. And I think the reasoning within the articles for the bans was very good as well. Especially around Delver. Card advantage isn't something that it's typically had as a strength. And I think it having a strength is just a little bit too good. No, your English is great. Okay, let's have a think. I really want to play around days. That's pretty easy. We can play Dried Arbor. We have 2 creatures then. We can drop the forest for a Cradle. And then play Endurance with 1 mana floating. If we play Fiend Artisan and then play Dried Arbor. Oh, that's another way to do it. So let's go Dried Arbor, and then we have 3 mana. We can use 2 of it for Fiend. Now we get to sack the forest. Get Cradle. And then probably just pass. Honestly. Like with 2 Volks in the bin, there's nothing really going to make me hold them up. The Volks going back into the deck as fetches are also pretty tough. I want to see if they attack as well. 1 days. And obviously the days again. Okay. Hey, Sahar. Very cool to see you in chat. Hope you're doing well. And your baby is not my problem. that EI baby can go. Okay, no double days is pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To be fair, like they could get a Murktide down with these lands. This is a case of like, do I want to give them the lands back into the deck as fetch targets or not? I think in this case, I don't. And I just want to start jamming with my creatures. And allow them to have it. If they want a small Murktide, they can have a small Murktide. Sorry. There we go. Hey, Elbarb. Big thank you. Hope you're doing well. Okay. Well, now we can definitely get him with the Knight, which is nice. Oof. It's a great pickup. I should have actually played this pre-combat, most likely, to know if we can attack with this Endurance. Yeah. And, like, to play around... Like, we know they have days as well. I think I'm pretty happy playing Fiend here. Attacking with Fiend, sorry. If they want to trade with an Insect, I'm okay with that. Two cards, 1 is days. Oh, double blocks. Can I kill them both? No. I could throw Endurance down, it gets days, and the Fiend becomes a 3/3, but there's no real changes. Would this be a good deck to get into Legacy with? I would say if you want to play a creature-based deck like this, Death and Taxes is a pretty cool deck to get into Legacy with. But it's tough, because D&T is a really good deck to pilot if you know the rest of the field. And I guess the same with Maverick as well. It's a deck that is great if you know what's happening. Bolting this. Okay. Don't really want to do anything. Maybe they're just trying to fill up the graveyard. Okay. Again, happy to get in. Wow, they let it slide. I'm also happy to just like force the stays potentially. It does make the night bigger. Float 1. 8 days, that's fine. Nice. You're playing a singleton format? What singleton format? Is it like a Canadian Highlander or Australian Highlander? I actually think if you want to get into a deck like this, green, white, or Naya Depths would be a strong candidate. Because it has a nice I win button in Merit Lage that allows you just to kind of win out of nowhere. Which I think definitely helps being a newer player. Did we see anything that makes me want to change? I don't believe so. Scottish Highlander would be very cool. I like that a lot. I'm trying to think of the theme. Like, what would it have? Like, is there a rule that makes it Scottish? Dual Commander? French format? Ah, is that like 1v1 Commander? I believe I've heard of French Commander, which I believe is 1v1. But that's cool. Alright. We really want to have 3 lands and a removal spell. Perfect. And like really good creatures here as well. Script Ranger is pretty cool because you can see that we can save some land from Wastelands potentially. I think the best draw here would be either another land or a Mana Dork. They also play Bauble first, which means that they don't have a DRC in hand. Which is probably the threat that I don't want to see the most. Scrib Ranger is doing some pretty cool work. I think the coolest thing that Scrib Ranger has done for me is allowed me to fetch for a Dryad Arbor, to then return it to my hand, to then pitch to an Endurance as my only card in hand. Which is pretty cool. Works as well for Force of Vigor in that instance. But yeah, Scrib's cool. I think Scrib is quite good in a mum version, and obviously with Fiend, but otherwise, like in Dan Neely's Esper Sentinel build, I probably wouldn't have it. Pretty happy to swords this before they draw the Force. Nice. Carpet of Flowers, also just another strong card. Okay. Pretty happy to try to just ramp here. Alright. This makes me think they might have another Wasteland. No. Okay. Ooh. We do know about A days. Nothing. So the only tough thing here is that if I play the Scrib Ranger now to try and block this Delver, then they can return a land, or just, yeah, they can return a land, daze, which doesn't do anything. I'm trying to think if there's a way that by playing Scrib Ranger here, it puts Murktide on the table before I get to just hardcast Endurance. And if I should just take this 3, which is tough because then with double fetch, by taking 5, I get a 9, and being at a multiple of 3 against Delver is really not great. So I actually am going to fetch here. Just go for all jewels. I don't want to get the Scrubland here because I want to have extra green sources for the Endurance. But at least this might lead to just the Scrib Ranger getting bolted, which I wouldn't mind. The best thing here, obviously, is that it has protection from blue, which means it just kind of stonewalls the Delver. Opponent probably thinking about Force, but potentially the card they only have for Force is either Daze or Murktide. But surely then you just pitch the Daze and then cast the Murktide? Tough one. Yeah, D&T is definitely a... yep, Force pitch Daze, sure. But now the question is, can I even afford to, like, wait on the Endurance? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like, that is just literally Murktide. Really tough. I don't think we have the luxury of just throwing away the Endurance here. But I could be wrong. Yeah. I think I just need to... They have Murktide, they get Murktide. Okay, no Murktide's pretty huge. Okay. I am just going to go for Endurance right now. Resolves. Trigger on the stack. Let's waste this. And then that goes back into the deck. And now we have a pretty good plan of just holding off. That also keeps them off having Bolt in hand. I think if they had the Bolt, they would have let the Scrib Ranger resolve, but this puts them on the need to either have something like Submerge or something like Red Source and also Bolt. Okay. Okay, that's fantastic because now we can play around Daze, which was the only thought of not wastelanding there. Wow, okay. And they had the Daze, but that's going to be it. Nice. In a really nice spot now. Opponent has 1 card in hand. Like, we get to waste them off this Steam Vents, which is fantastic. They float some sort of color, doesn't really matter. They didn't, so let's just go ahead and cast the Knight here. And then we have both a big threat and a great blocker. Definitely want to keep my life total at as high as possible, so I don't think there's a world where I attack with the Endurance there. Okay. This has to be DRC? I don't think there's any other card you'd fetch red for there. Obviously, this now shows that we could potentially have... Oh, another Green Suns. Okay. A lot of options. Like, there's Grist. We still have Cradle in the deck. They're down to 0 cards, so I honestly don't mind just fetching, attacking for 8, and then green sunning for another endurance. Like, I think endurance just does the exact same job as Grist, pretty much. Nice. Endurance really, really doing well here. Endurance is just such a powerful card. Does Ignobled Hierarch do it for us? Well, let's be honest. We're attacking with everything here. Actually, there's like a world where we could like lose this. I don't mind just keeping one endurance back because they definitely have to block here as well. But if we attack with both, they don't have to block both. Wow. Green Suns. We have 1 card left. They can bolt me. That's only 6 damage. I think we're pretty good. I think I can even just hold the Green Suns. I could also go for... I actually don't mind just casting this. I'm going to go for Fiend Artisan, as it allows me to get Plague Engineer next turn, which just takes the DRC off the table. And any other DRCs or Delvers that come down. Like, yeah. Just in a really nice spot. And I think that where we won that game was probably on our opponents doubling on 2 mana for so long. Which is kind of exactly where you want to put them on Maverick, so can't be too unhappy with that. And kind of nice to beat Delver as well. I think that Delver's gotten a lot better. Oh my gosh, Andy. A huge thank you. Too kind. Too kind for the gifted subs. I very much appreciate that. A huge thank you. A huge thank you. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. I very much appreciate the support. And thank you as well for yourself for subscribing to the channel. Too kind. Avoiding Murktide on that crucial turn as well was very huge, yeah. I think that's actually a good game for me to start, like, in my content, going back and watching. I don't mind this hand. So what we have is a really consistent mana base, which is quite nice. Turn 1, Mum. Turn 2, Sword. We have Endurance and Ramanap if we need to throw it away. We have Wasteland for interaction. I don't think there's any reason to mulligan this, so I'm pretty happy just to see how it goes. Andy, you're more than welcome. A huge thank you. That is, yeah, a very, you've made my night. Apologies. Too kind. Oh, Seat. Okay. Well, thankfully here we do have just Green Suns for Collector Oof down the line. So what do we want to do here? I kind of want to keep the Wasteland for a Saga. I don't think taking them off the Seat is that great at the moment. Seat could allow them to tap Mox Opal next turn. But I think for now getting Mum online wouldn't be too bad. You're in the UK? Play a little nonsense? Very nice. Alright, well there's a Saga. The only tough thing about Plains here is that it means next turn if we draw into a Noble Hierarch or Green Suns, I guess the Green Suns we would save potentially for Collector Oof. It means we most likely can't double spell next turn, unless they also play something like an Emery this turn. Hey Jira, a huge thank you. Very cool to see you in chat. The Andy Fernandez special is what their decks are known for. Nice. Thoughtcast, a little bit rough there. I would have loved to have seen a creature, but yeah, see, there's the Noble Hierarch effect. which is pretty tough. But like we didn't. The only wrong thing would be if we actually fetched for the plains instead of Savannah. But here we are. I think just wastelanding the Saga and then holding up swords is best before they can get any sort of value off it. And obviously attacking here is fine. Most 8-cast decks don't run main deck removal. Maybe bounce effects, but that's probably it. Okay, we get it. You like Saga. Okay. So pretty happy to respond to this with the swords. They have 2 cards left. They get a Thopter, but that's more than fine. I like just Forest into Noble here. And then we can attack with Mum for 2, which gets around the Thopter. They most likely will get a Saga next turn, which is tough, but we get to go Ramanap into Wasteland. They could also have a Kappa. Spear's pretty strong. But they didn't equip, I guess because they want to get the token. That makes sense. One small thing you might not see here as well is that even though they will get a large construct, and yes, they will get trample, if we deal with the Shadow Spear, we do get to get Dried Arbor back every turn with Ramanap, which gives us just a nice clean blocker for the construct without trample. And they also have 1 card, so we don't have to worry about force, which is fantastic. Let's be honest, we just want to see Green Suns off the top for Collector Oof and call this game, but it would take a little bit to get that going. I mean, Ramanap into Wasteland isn't that bad of a position anyway. I guess they do draw cards. They could have blue card force. Alright. So next turn we'll be taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage, going to 10. That's just on the board they have now. And I assume it might be 11, maybe even 12 with 3 cards next turn for them. I guess the Saga gets an artifact as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's actually pretty funny to see, like, obviously this deck is very good with Saga, but like, here the construct is just going to take over the game. Like, even a Knight isn't big enough right now. And I guess that could have been a reason to go for, probably not Windswept, but... Okay, no extra artifacts is huge. Ugh, not really where I want to be. Question is, if we play these, are we just dead? Tough spot for sure. The Endurance can take out the Thopter. But then we have to, like, yeah, it's getting really, really tight. I don't mind Wasteland as it does take them off, like, an artifact as well. I guess I might as well do this now as well. The only reason to not is if they have another Saga. But to be fair, we get it back with Ramanap anyway, so... I don't mind just taking them off 1 here. but tough. Two mana. Is it Chalice for one? Oh, okay. That turns off swords. Okay. Alright, well we get to kill the Thopter. I will target them just because of Emery off the top. We take 8. Green Suns for Grist. Green Suns for Grist. A little bit too late. I guess the Wasteland makes this a 6/6. That means we can probably also attack 2... I think we actually just have to pass and just put everything in front of the construct, most likely. They have 2 cards. Emery's pretty good. What? No attacks? I did not expect no attacks. Okay. Then here... I think we get back Wasteland. We could play I think actually Dried Arbor. Let's have a think. No, I think it might be Wasteland. Does Ancient Tomb keep them off? Like, I think just keeping them off from casting things is huge. Yeah, unless they're thinking of, like, potentially getting to a position where they can make the construct bigger than the amount of blockers we have, and just not losing the construct. Yeah, because I could see the position where they say, hey, there's a Collector Oof in play, they have a mum to protect it. If this construct dies, I have nothing. So I have to get to a position where I just draw into artifacts to play to make the construct big enough that one swing not only kills everything on board for them and they have to block with the oof, but also either kills them or puts them in a position where they just die the next turn. So that must be it. But yeah, Emery does get back the Thought Monitor, which draws them cards. They do have to cast it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pretty close to it. The Chalice, of course, turns off the swords. We can't do anything else. Let's just pass. There's no great attacks either. Opponent also in the tank a little bit because, like, I'm streaming and they are down on time. Get back Bauble, make that a 7/7. Okay. Wow. Wow. I'm not going to say anything about the draws because we are playing Maverick. We don't have card manipulation. It happens. It happens. And to be fair, like, we drew natural oof. Come on. Come on now. I think it's just Dried Arbor this turn, honestly. Just one more, like, toughness and power to put in front of the construct. Second Endurance would be quite good as well, yeah. That's also going to be lethal in the air with the Endurance, which is tough. Still no attacks. Alright. Come on, Grist. I need you. I didn't really mean to play that, but that's fine. Now I believe we're dead on board. They attack with both creatures. We put the Endurance in front of the Thought Monitor. We put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, tough. Cool game, though. Oof. Yeah, now that it's going off. Tough. You know what? We'll see. They didn't attack before. Maybe they don't attack this time. And there it is. Just? No. Surely you attack with everything. We can save 2, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. One, 3, 7, 10. You got me. You got me. Alright, Force of Vigors, Deafening Silence. I do like the Deafening Silences on the play. I do like the Engineer as well. I'm not a big fan of Graveyard Hate. We have a lot of great answers to Emery, and that's really only what we care about. The Initiative isn't where I want to be. The Thalias aren't too bad, but probably not the greatest. The Mums can come out. Sometimes Dismember comes in for Collector Oof, but if they have that, that's fine. I don't think we need Agent for Saga because we have like 4 Wastelands. We have Force of Vigor as well. The Beast is nice to get like damage through. The Scrib Ranger is probably less vital here. Like it does block Thought Monitor, but that's about it. I could also see like going down on some amount of mana acceleration. I might just go down on endurance. I think 2 is fine. Especially having just like this sort of hate as well. This is pretty nice. This is a turn 1 Ignoble Hierarch into turn 2 Oof with then... This is an amazing hand, actually. Like, the Dryad Arbor makes this a bit of a 6, but otherwise it's fantastic. We have Mana Acceleration, we have a Haymaker in Collector Oof, and then we have 3 types of removal, one of which keeps a body around, so pretty happy to keep this. Hey, Jittery. Welcome. Hope you are well. Alright. This Canopy is going to deal a little bit of damage to us, but I think that's okay overall. I don't think there's really a better hand other than potentially Fetch instead of Canopy and Dryad Arbor, just because Fetch allows us to get all colors and also makes a Knight a 4/4 as soon as it comes down. Also takes, I guess, like 4 lands out of the equation in total. Mana otherwise has been pretty solid already. Obviously, a little bit too much at times, but that is a-okay. Hey, Granham, a huge thank you for the raid. Hope you're doing well. What did you play, and how did you go? Opponent might just be off to the bathroom, which I'm going to be as well. Be back in a second. Unless that's actually me? Surely not. No, my opponent's time is going down. Okay, there we go. The bathroom can wait. Yuri on D&T? 4160 card. Were you trying out any kind of new tech? Saga, nice. Okay, that's a great target for Wasteland, which is great. We could also Night of Autumn this, but I actually really like Wasteland here with Collector Oof. This also turns off Dismember. Sarah Avenger, Mangara, Brimaz, Moon Crusader. Nice. No mana. Explains the 04 drop. That can be tough. So next time we have Hold Up Swords, play Dryad Arbor, the following turn potentially Ramanap into Wasteland. Okay. Ooh, okay. Pretty happy to start with attacks. You sent me a message on Discord. I'm a little bit behind, but I'll definitely check it out. Hey, Giz. Welcome. This is 8 cast. Which is a little bit different to Beta. Doesn't typically play the combo, but I have seen kind of 8 cast / painter hybrids, which look really interesting. This has to be Dismember. Which member? That joke was not worth anything, so. I mean, like, next turn we get to play Ramanap into Wasteland, which is really strong. Start attacking with Thalia, first strike for 3. I think this is definitely our game to lose. Oh, just a Shadow Spear. Okay, maybe trying to get like a Mox Opal online. Alright, let's start with Ramanap. Force. Sure. The nice thing here is that Thalia attacking for 3 puts them to 5. The Ancient Tomb puts them down to 3. And then Thalia is lethal. So they play like any sort of creature that we can deal with. Knight of Autumn. It's obviously very strong. Diecast? Diecast, I believe, was like the race cars as a kid. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Diecast? Ah, it's Diecast. D-I-E. A type of metal? Oh, interesting. Alright. What do you guys think about boarding? I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Let me know. Damn. I was going to say Underground Adventurer we'll see definitely later. This hand's interesting because Caracas is an answer for both Sai and Emery. The Wastelands are strong against Saga. The Green Suns allows us to ramp or potentially find a Collector Oof. I'm tempted. Although this hand at first glance doesn't look that great, it just lines up quite well against a lot of their fast starts. Hey Basic Swamps, welcome. Hope you're well. I am using a Blue Yeti mic. Hey Ramar, welcome. I am very excited. I'm going to see how this goes. I think it just lines up quite nicely. You have a lot of good draws, of course, with things like Swords to Plowshares, etc. Saga's fine. Okay, probably didn't want to draw that as our Green Sun's target, but that's fine. Resetting the game somewhat here. They sack the bauble. And just pass? Well. Hey, thanks B1. Too kind. I would love for this Dried Arbor to be in the deck so we could Green Suns for it now. I think I want to keep the Wasteland for another Saga, but if we are playing Thalia next turn, or the turn after Wasteland, that makes sense to take them off the tomb. But I think with this hand, it's really just like a creature start, or like a Saga that can get out of hand. So I think I do have to save the Wasteland here, and it's probably just going to be Verdant Pass. I don't want to open up the Dried Arbor to Dismember, and I don't want to play the Caracas, which might just put my opponent off from actually casting one of their legendary creatures. Spellbomb's fine. Okay. Okay. So I guess he would just have to play the Wasteland, fetch up a Savannah, and play Thalia. Okay. At least this isn't too bad with Endurance. But it's tough because next turn, unless we draw into like a Mana Dork, we don't have too much to do with our mana. Oh, fantastic draw. Okay. So we do want to return the Sai. Like, we're definitely playing the Caracas this turn. So we can Caracas the Sai. Attack for 2. I don't think we want to Wasteland, but I could see a world, like, they're at 12, so I kind of want to keep, like, allow them to have the Ancient Tombs. I could try to take them off blue by hitting both the Seat and the Mox Opal with Force of Vigor. A lot of options for sure. I think right now this Wasteland is better for us as well, especially if I can draw towards another land to be able to hold up the Caracas and play Endurance, or potentially even the Fiend Artisan. And again, I think we're still at a stage where Saga's a little bit rough. But let's see. Let's go Force. Pitching these two. I think hitting mana makes sense with Thalia in play, and then just pitching a Fiend Artisan. The land of Dried Arbor next turn could be actually quite good. This might even be like a 3 for 1-ish if they use the spell bomb here to return the Thalia as well. Which to be fair, next turn is most likely just play Dryad Arbor, play Thalia, Caracas Sai. So, wow, they didn't use any of it. Maybe a Kappa? Oof, is this a Dismember? Okay. That's fine. I mean, they're getting so close to these ancient tombs just being useless. Ah. Okay. I see what you're doing. Another tomb, okay. Mox. Interesting. Land? Come on. Oh! Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I guess they do still have... I think here we're just Green Suns for 3, right? They have 3 cards in hand. Probably just want to hold up. Doesn't really matter. Don't think. Yeah, I think this means they have Force and then pitch Sai. Sai is a little bit dead with the Caracas here. They could potentially keep getting tokens out of it just in response. Like, they obviously get priority to cast something straight away. But maybe the line was actually just to not play the land first, tap out. Yeah, there goes the Sai. And then play the Dryad Arbor. Okay. So play Dryad Arbor. Definitely get rid of the Saga. I'm gonna float a mana, sure. Oh, they're drawing a card with this? That's huge. They have 1 card in hand. I think here I'm actually happy to Endurance because if I allow them to draw into specifically either blue card or Force, they can then force the Endurance. And now I think we're in a pretty nice spot. It's taking a little bit of time, but see what they can do. They just have Metalcraft as well. They play the Otawara as a blue source. Do they attack? Yeah, Panda, that's a great point. Because we have the Caracas, we don't really care about their graveyard. And if anything, it gives them back cards like Dismember or Saga targets. Okay. I don't mind just double Hierarch here. And then hold back the Endurance. Attack for 3, put them down to 4. I could also try to get the Fiend Artisan online. Maybe that's better because I believe we still have Knight of Autumn in the list. Yeah. They still have 2 cards. I guess they could have Force of Will Hardcast here, but it would cost them 2 life. Okay. Fiend Artisan for Collector as well is pretty good. I could also Fiend Artisan for Knight of Autumn. It's probably worth attacking here as well, because they'll be taking 4. Oh, Dismember. Okay. Sure. Ooh. Do we just go for Questing Beast and just try to end this game here and now? I don't mind that. Hardcast Force. Alright. You go to 2. Now you have to attack to turn the Ancient Tombs on. Yeah, tough spot. Nice. Very cool. A really fun matchup, I find. Really enjoyable. A lot of different takes on kind of how to start out. And obviously, like, I think Deafening Silence is a great card, especially to slow down the effects of their 2-for-1 spells. And we didn't really see it that game. You don't really need it on Mav, but it is just a nice to have. But obviously, yeah. Opponent pretty unlucky there to have 3 Ancient Tombs in the first few turns. And obviously the Caracas there was really, really nice. But hey, a huge thank you to you guys for coming in and watching. If you like this sort of content, you can find me here on YouTube. You can find me here on Twitter. And of course, you can join my Discord. Time for Adventurer? I think so as well. 3 lands, 4 spells. It is in the main. 3 lands, 4 spells, pretty close to that. Pretty happy to keep this. It was just in the board for that matchup. Because I think with all the flyers, they have a pretty easy time of stealing the initiative. We are going to keep this. Snow-covered mountain. Probably Welder, like a mono-red Welder deck. So, honestly, getting Mum online is pretty nice. Oh, this could also be like a mono-red deck, so potentially I should have gone for Plains. Maybe I should have gone for Basics. And hopefully their turn 2 play isn't Blood Moon. Oh, Volk. Okay. Pedal? Sneak and Show. Okay. What actually is the play here? Because we can just play the Caracas next turn if it's Emrakul or Grizzlebrand or Atraxa. I think we're just putting in Knight, right? I think Knight is just the best play here. Because if they have Archon, it obviously sucks. We have the Caracas for next turn. Oh my gosh. Oh, there's a big spider. There is a big spider. I wish I could show you guys. Oh, oh no. Why is it here? It is a huge huntsman, and I wish I could show you, but I'm gonna say it's like this big. They're more scared of me than I'm scared of them. They're more scared of me than I'm scared of them. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I can even show you guys, but maybe. No. Oh, did I just pull out my webcam? Oh, I did, didn't I? Oh no. Look what you've done, spider. I know, I hate spiders. Oh, Thalia is pretty good. Thalia's not too bad. But if they have, like, just Emrakul here, then obviously that sucks. Yeah, okay, well, can't really beat that. Oh my god, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. I don't know where it's gone. Where have you gone? Why did you do this to me? Please stay away. I'm putting socks on. I'm putting socks on. Apologies, team. Please tell me how to sideboard for this matchup in the meantime. All right. It is just a normal thing. Forces, carpets, deafening silence. I don't mind surgicals. I think it's probably just better than another card in the deck. Plague. Collector if it's Lotus Petal. The camera is a triangle. Not sure why it stopped. Let's just remove the camera for now. There we go. Sorry, team. Look, Agent might just be better than something else. The mums aren't too bad. I could see like cutting a mana dork or two for the carpets. Swords I could see coming down as well, but they do have Archons, which are annoying. Endurance can come out. Grist is still fine. Knight of Autumn's still fine. Yeah. Beast. It might just be Under Mountain, unfortunately. Maybe Oof isn't worth it either, and then just like one mum. Yeah. Spider got to me. I can't believe we have one. Pretty happy to keep this. Turn 1 carpet, turn 2 Thalia. Also have Force of Vigor up, which is nice. Pretty happy just to show the carpet as well. Interesting. They chose to shuffle. This actually means if we draw a Wasteland, we can Thalia and Wasteland, which is huge. Nice. Can't be too unhappy about that. I have no idea where the spider is, and I'm staying so still. We can hope. We can hope it does nothing. I actually get to play the Grist here, which is pretty sweet. Ooh, deafening silence off the top. Maybe here, then, I just want to play the deafening silence. I just want to attack with the Thalia. I could attack for 3, but I think holding back with something like an Abrade or a Bolt or some sort of removal effect is worth keeping Mum on board for. Oof, Panda, don't tell me that, please. Politely asked to leave is a respectful way to put it. Oh, another pedal? Okay. I think if we're going to end step here, there's a world where I just force both of those. Keep them off like a sneak. I don't mind that. Probably just pitching the Fiend Artisan. Yeah. I think that's a nice play with the Thalia in play, just to really keep them off the ability to do too much. Hey, Luanil, a huge thank you. Come for the night. Too kind. It was actually massive. Like, I can't overestimate or underestimate how big this creature was. If anyone's seen Harry Potter 1, the Philosopher's Stone, and saw how big the spider was in that film, now we're getting somewhere. Alright. Show and tell, show and tell. Honestly, this sort of matchup, it's really about just trying to cheese out a win, usually through mana denial, like we just did, but it can be pretty tough. I don't think there's too much to change here. Like, potentially having just an initiative creature in the deck is kind of cool. I could see the script coming out, to be fair. Use Karakas to send it to my opponent's hand. What do we have here? We have a turn 2 agent. We do have some interaction with Swords of Plowshares, which is great if they have Archon. But we don't have Thalia, we don't have Deafening Silence. We don't have, like, sort of key cards for the matchup. I feel like this hand, especially on the draw, just really allows my opponent to pretty much do whatever they want. That I think I'll mulligan towards Deafening Silence or Thalia. So pretty happy to keep this. I do think it's also quite relevant to have 3 mana. So it's probably between the Grist and the opposition agent for me. Probably the Grist, as we can Green Suns for it. The agent in this matchup isn't really for anything other than just being a card with probably more text on it than other cards in the main deck. You can obviously get fetch lands. They might be playing something like Eldamri's Call or Intuition in the 75. But honestly, not a great card for the matchup. Agent's just a big stifle. There we go. Eli put it best. I think it is just Grist, but it's definitely tough. Like, Grist also has little things like it allows you to potentially take a hit from Emrakul and also to sacrifice a bunch of little creatures to keep your main threats. There is like a high chance of drawing a land over the next few turns, but at the same time, I have been caught out where we've kept a hand with just 2 lands and 3 drops and just not drawn the third land, which happens, but I think it is the Grist. Okay. Savannah, okay. Pretty happy to Savannah into Deafening Silence here. That means that next turn we could also draw into a Mana Dork and Wasteland. If I play just the Plains, there's not too many things I can do next turn along with Wasteland. No end of turn Brainstorm makes me think that it's have like fetch into Ancient, like fetch Ancient Tomb, something else. Or this. Or this. Okay. Yeah, Magus is the other consideration. And there's that land. I think it's just going to be Verdant and Ignoble Hierarch here. No real point playing the Plains. The Wasteland doesn't have a great target at the moment anyway. I think maybe the only role of Wasteland I saw there was potentially Wastelanding the fetch land in response to Brainstorm. Just because the Ignobled Hierarch allows us next turn to play a 3-drop anyway. But that's obviously a very aggressive line, and can sometimes just not really go anywhere. I can't believe a spider took away my webcam ability. Okay. Oh, okay. This is fine. I like this. Fetch pass. Oh, fetch pass, please. Oh. There's no way I'm not taking this out. And then probably just fetching... So if I play the knight here, and I get another turn, I then have access to Caracas. I also have Opposition Agent, which is nice. I could do that in upkeep. Means that if they want to force, they can't cast another spell that turn. Also happy to get the basic here. Oh. Okay. Well, now the question is, do I put in planes to hold up sword? I feel like they obviously have, like, sneak and then something after. I do think it's sneak. They can't counter the player, which is nice. But if they play Archon, then we obviously lose the knight to discard, which is tough. If they play Atraxa, probably rather the knight, of course. If they play Grizzle, I'd probably rather the knight again. I think it just has to be knight. Yeah, I think it just has to be knight. Now they try to draw into Emery. Well, they can draw an Emrakul and get another turn. This is only a non-creature. So any creatures they draw into, they can actually cast. Which is pretty brutal. And surely they hit one in the top 16. And all of them are great. Like, Atraxa allows you to dig. Really? No. What's this? Really? Is there any sort of flash creature that I should be worried about? I guess it's tough, like, we can Caracas the Grizzled and attack with Exalted with the Opposition Agent to put them to 1, but there's no real difference there. Borrower, maybe? Maybe. I guess, yeah, Borrower seems like a good card in the 75. That was a 14 in whip. We could just draw Caracas. Oh! Hmm. Yeah, we could try to like Horizon. No, yeah. All right. Let's now we just swords this, right? Yeah, because okay, so if we allow them to attack, they gain 8, then they can pay 7 to try to find Emrakul again, and then obviously get another turn and win. But if we sword here, we can then just put them to 8, and then we swing back for lethal next turn anyway. And they can't counter this because they've already cast a sneak attack. I guess they can put in something with the sneak attack to block potentially, but we have the Caracas. I guess they do have 2 red sources, but not the worst. Yeah, I think we let it block then bounce. But still a tough spot. Okay. And there it is. Tough. 2/2. Yeah, exactly. Atraxa has to find it. I think if the Atraxa finds it, our opponent has to look at their sideboard and say, did I side out the Emrakuls? The Daddy, I believe, is typically on graveyard decks, but in a post-ban world, you never know. My camera isn't working. On the draw, the Dried Up is really tough. The hand isn't too bad, but I'm happy to mulligan once. Oh, okay. Well, definitely not keeping this. Okay. Oh, the Cradle is the only green source? Yikes. I guess we could bottom the Cradle and the Questing Beast, and then just keep these. Hope to draw a green source off the top. I feel like Dried Arbor and Progenitus have a lot of consistency in showing up at the worst of times. Opponent's gone to 5 as well. Okay. Not too bad. Someone does need to create... Oh, no Dredge, discard, and upkeep. Okay. But no Dredge either for the Faithless Looting. Interesting. They find Golgari Grave Troll. Okay. I think here it's just going to be Thalia and Wasteland. Name Endurance, that's fair. Ah, but now they just flash it back. Okay. That's fair. No Bog in the deck. That's cool. I haven't seen that art. Alright. I don't think we actually have a way to get back from that, so... That's a grave mistake. What do I like here? We like the Surgicals. The Deafening Silences aren't too bad. Definitely the Ley Lines. I'm not sure about the Force Vigors, like if Serenity is played or anything like that. The second Plague is actually quite good as well, just on even like maybe even Zombie. The Ramanap. The Mums aren't that great. Beast can get through. Sadly, just Initiative in this matchup isn't that great either. I feel like the actual Graveyard Hate kind of keeps them off multiple spells, so Knights are fine. Knight of Autumn's just a nice one-off. Endurance is obviously great. Collector Ooth is fine. I think it's going to be the Mums. And then probably just a Mana Accelerant. It could also just be the Scrib Ranger, to be fair. Seeing that we're taking out the Mums. Ah. I don't know if this is good enough. We get to hold up Sword on turn 1 and then hold up Endurance as well. Sand could also give us the mana to cast Leyline off the top. But maybe I do just want to mulligan aggressively. Which is kind of sad. Like, yeah, this can definitely happen. Oh. Oh my gosh. Well. I think one change potentially after this would be maybe just putting Leyline as a 4 of. It does give you the extra 10%, which is pretty huge. No discard. I could take the Thugs out here. I could also go for the Narcomoebas. I would assume they also already have a Dredger in hand. Or I could just actually hold off the Surgicals for something like Bridges. Okay. Bridges does buy a bit of time. I also don't need to use a Surgical just yet. Ooh. There's a Cabal. Oh, they have the Grief? Hogak. Okay. Question is, do they Grief? Do a draw step, because if they draw into a Bridge from Below, it also takes a card from their hand, which is quite nice. I assume here that it's alluding into Oblivion. Okay. That's fair. Dredge is actually, yeah. I guess my thought for surgicaling there before they dredge is that if they dredge a bridge, then that's one less card that they dredge that could just be online. Tough. That's going to be a 2-3. I'm actually just going to... No, I can't run it back. Thoughts on the deck? I'll turn this off. I don't like Bog without access to it on turn 1 through something like Crop Rotation, or potentially with Elvish Reclaimer. I think there's just better graveyard cards to have, and Bog taking up a slot is pretty big. I think if anything, like an extra leyline just to make sure I hit it. Like in the games where we wanted leyline, we just literally didn't see it. So I think like cutting a surgical for the extra leyline is fine. The Prismatic Ending is still like a kind of flex spot, and probably even the surgical. But yeah, Carpet's not too bad. With the 23 lands, it's okay, but I think Carpet just really shines when you do have it on turn 1. Yeah, I do think if I was going to a competitive league, I'd be playing Naya. But I would like to try out this a little bit more before I switch over, and just get a better handle of it. But yeah, it's tough. I think the Fiend Artisan part is where I want to kind of get my head around, because obviously there's a lot of lists out there that run like, you know, say 4-Mum and 4 Thalia, but I find that by playing the Fiends, you have to find room for them. And by finding the room for them, you're cutting cards that are now virtual copies through Fiend. But mana was pretty good. Removal is probably the thing that I'd like to move around. Like potentially Beast just isn't where I want to be right now. Yeah, the Fiend is definitely better when you have like an I win button. But it's also very nice to do something like turn 1 Noble, turn 2 Fiend, and then turn 3 you could get something like a Plague or a Collector Oof. So I think like having the ability to go for those kind of I win buttons against key matchups, it's pretty good, but potentially not necessary. Like maybe the matchup is just already, like say 8 cast. Obviously Collector Oof is great, and we already have a lot of ways to find it, and typically do. So if we're not looking for specific bears, like Plague Engineer against decks like maybe Fiend Artisan for Plague Engineer against Elves is just actually too slow, potentially. The lands themselves I was happy with. I don't mind having the Canopy. I could see, like, instead of the 8th fetch land, having a Nurturing Peat land as just another card to have as sort of hopefully cycle into a spell later on in the game. But obviously against Delver, the life loss of having 2 Pain lands in the deck can definitely add up. The Grist was sweet. The Forces were nice. I would love to just like have a deck like Naya, which allows you to have kind of a more main board that's just suited for a lot of fair creature matchups, and then just have purely combo hate in the sideboard with maybe one slot where you can take out, you know, say Oof against Elves and bring in some sort of card. But yeah, definitely a tough showing. So we went down to Dredge, Reanimator, Show and Tell, and then we beat Delver and 8-cast, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. And I think that's something that I definitely want to test out is potentially going down to Fiend Artisan just being a Green Sun's target. That is a part of the deck for me that I think is missing is on turn 2, currently, like we do have Script Ranger, which is kind of nice with mana acceleration, but going for Collect Oof in the blind is obviously quite bad. But going for Fiend as just I want to get a creature on the board and then have access to potentially a bullet down the line is really strong. So I could definitely see a build where Fiend is just a one of. And then, like, you know, cutting these, you get to have your 4th Mum, your 4th Thalia, and then, you know, potentially even just keeping the 3 mums and then having 2 slots for 2 more removal spells, like 2 Solitudes. Be kind of cool. So a lot of play to it, I will say. But hey, that's going to be me. A huge thank you to you guys for coming in and watching. It's really nice to be back. A huge thank you to, of course, Andy with all the gift subs and all those who resubbed. A big thank you. And also Greenham for the raid. I'll be back most likely on Thursday night with a donation deck from Joe and also a Naya Depths list with Yorion from Ravenous Panda. So a huge thank you to both of those guys. I'm going to see who else is streaming. Looks like Gabe is streaming. It is Pioneer, but Gabe is always a good time, so. Hope you guys enjoy. All the best. Next time I will have the cam back, of course, and I will give the update on the spider at some point, but I have just lost it, so I have no idea where it is. Thank you guys very much. All the best, and I'll catch you next time.